welcome to True Heel Heat.
What's up, guys? It's Wolf Death Machine, Mr. GMSI himself, Brian Cage, and you're watching True Heel Heat. Who better? Nobody.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3.
Listen up, you prick!
And we're here with a special edition of Collision Discourse reviewing AEW Collision right here on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. A pre-recorded edition this week as Sleepy Guy JJ is asleep. So we couldn't be here live after the spectacular edition of Collision Discourse number 16, where Sleepy Guy JJ was born and he fell asleep in the middle of a review. First time that's ever happened on this channel. But I am here to review the December 9th, 2023 edition of AEW Collision, as only we can. Of course, if you're watching this on demand, you're watching this for the premiere, show that appreciation back. Drop the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, if you want sound off in the live chat, if you're watching the premiere, sound off most of all, most importantly, in the comments down below. I'd love to interact with all of you and hear your thoughts on AEW Collision from this past Saturday. Let me know in the comments down below. But AEW Collision from December 9th, 2023 was taped from the Bell Center in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. This show was taped on Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. And of course, we were continuing the AEW Continental Classic. We kicked off the show with thoughts from a couple of the competitors: Andrade El Idolo, El Idolo, Claudio Castagnoli, Eddie Kingston, Bryan Danielson. We heard from all of them before their Blue League matches on this show. We also heard from Ethan Page and Kenny Omega, who will have a non-AEW Continental Classic matchup on the show. But we kicked off with Blue League action as the rivals, Claudio Castagnoli and the current Ring of Honor World and New Japan Strong Openweight Champion Eddie Kingston, continue their rivalry with their third encounter of 2023. And of course, this one was predictably a physical affair. Kingston hits the spinning backflips in the opening moments. Sato suplex to send Castagnoli to the floor early. Back in, a Northern Lights bomb gives Kingston the 2, but Claudio comes right back and hits a neutralizer for a 2 count of his own. They were hitting the heavy bombs early on in this one. Claudio comes back with a running double foot stomp to Kingston. Okay, he hits the swing into the sharpshooter. With that broken up, Claudio unloads with some forearms in the corner for 2 before cutting off a comeback with a big old clothesline, almost taking Kingston's head off. We get Kingston fighting back. We get rapid fire chops in the corner from Kingston, a big old lariat, which gives him a near fall. He tries to get on the stretch plum, but he's been worked over a little bit too much. Kingston is fighting kind of dirty and scrappy, knees to the head. We get something like a power bomb from Claudio for a 2 count. Then he follows up with a crossface. Kingston makes it to the ropes. He escapes the Ricola bomb, only to get blasted with a big uppercut, which has beaten Kingston in the past, but Kingston was able to kick out. Kingston gets in a hard shot of his own for a close 2. We get like a fighting and a strike exchange. We get a spinning back fist, which he looks to set up the power bomb. And in a callback from their first bout in 2023, where Kingston basically reversed the Ricola bomb into a Hurricane Rana into a pin, only for Claudio to reverse that into a pinning combination for the win. We get Claudio reversing the powerbomb attempt by Kingston into the Hurricane Rana pin combination, and then Kingston reverses that into a sunset flip flip to pick up the victory and his first 3 points in the Continental Classic tournament. This was the longest match of the tournament up until this point, 18 minutes, 3 seconds. Castagnoli's shock face after the matchup definitely worked. This was a hard-hitting affair, and I like the roll-up finish because it makes sense and was a great callback to their first matchup, completing their trilogy here. Great matchup. Kingston picks up 3 points in the Blue League. And like I said, these guys just work so great together. Terrific matchup. Excellent work by both men, and a great way of continuing the high quality that has been going down in the AEW Continental Classic. It's been a gem to AEW television, and has really brought that sports-based presentation and that vibes that everybody's been talking about, restoring the feeling. The Continental Classic is doing that. And like Jimmy Macaram said on AE Rambo last week, it's by far the best tournament AEW has done in quite some time, if not ever. We hear from Jon Moxley. He says he wasn't scared of Roosh and it was a hard match, but no, he wasn't scared. He says Swerve Strickland is going to be a hard match too, but Swerve is going to be in over his head. He says that when you go into the ring with Jon Moxley, you better pack a lunch. We also hear from Swerve Strickland, who says that he is in the leaderboard of this company no matter what, and he'll be the world champion. First up, though, is the Continental Classic, so he hopes Jon Moxley is ready. The level of confidence is rising in Swerve Strickland. Every single promo, every single match, he is just on another level, and you love hearing from him. Him and Jon Moxley should be a superb matchup coming up at Winter is Coming on Wednesday. So we'll be talking about it. You'll be watching it with the fellas on Elite Heat on Wednesday, and we'll be back on Thursday, me and Jimmy Macaram, to review the show. Backstage, Renee Paquette runs into FTW champion Hook, but he is interrupted quickly by Ring of Honor Pure champion Wheeler Yuta, who brags about beating Hook last week. Yuta says he can beat Hook under either set of rules, whether it be Pure rules or even FTW rules, and he challenges him to an FTW rules match, and Hook says, let's do it. This leads in nicely to our next matchup, Women's Affair. You had Willow Nightingale going one-on-one with Mercedes Martinez. Mercedes had Diamante in her corner. These two women are known for their hard-hitting style, and they did not disappoint in this one. This was physical. I thought that the finish was a little bit not the best. You had Mercedes hit this death-defying hangman's kind of dominator to Willow, but Willow didn't really even sell it. Immediately, Mercedes tries to pick her up for her finisher, and Willow reverses that into an inside cradle to pick up the victory. Thought it was the right choice for Willow Nightingale to get the win here. Just could have been done better because it was kind of ridiculous. She takes that big move, and then she's quickly up to get the pin. Just, yeah, didn't make too much sense. After the matchup, Diamante and Martinez quickly beat down Nightingale until none other than Chris Statlander comes out to make the save. Diamante and Martinez had pulled out a small ladder as well as a lead pipe, but Chris Statlander came out with a chain and ran them out to stand tall with Willow Nightingale. I believe, based on the build to the last couple of weeks between these four ladies, we might be heading to maybe a no DQ style tag team matchup between all four, maybe on the 0 hour for World's End, because, you know, Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander are both from Long Island. Backstage, we hear from Jake Hager. He interrupts Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, who will be in their hometown of Montreal to perform. They'll be facing the Lucha Cousins of Commander and Penta El Zero Mero. He rants about Danhausen putting Hager's hat on and down his pants. And with Hager gone, Parker and Menard go off to shout about how they always wanted to be here. And then we have Saraya, Anna Jay, and Ruby Soho come in to yell at the guys. Ruby tries to flirt with Parker, but Saraya yells at her, says that she's never been there for her. She's just going to betray her like Toni Storm did, and she's not going to be there for Ruby like Ruby hasn't been there for her when Ruby faces Riho on Winter is Coming next Wednesday. So that was announced here. Next up, we got Wardlow going one-on-one with Willie Mack. This was set up last week in response to Wardlow destroying AR Fox on Dynamite. Willie Mack looking for revenge here. He's a very hard-hitting bloke, but nothing for Wardlow. Wardlow was very impressive here, hitting a big drop kick at one point. He hits the windmill clothesline, and then he sets up for the power bomb, which gives him the referee stoppage victory. 3 minutes 14 seconds. This is about how you are presenting Wardlow, and he's smashing through everybody. But I like the fact that they are actually building a coherent story of how he is smashing through jobbers. Then he smashed through the jobbers to the stars. Now he's smashing through the babyface, kind of like lower card guys. Next, we're going to have to see him go against the mid card guys right before he's back in the main event. They're doing the right steps of building Wardlow back up. Got a video package for the House of Black wanting FTR to join their team over the last couple of weeks. We also look back at Ricky Starks and Big Bill attacking Chris Jericho and injuring his arm following Full Gear, which leads into our next matchup, which was set up last week in the promo by Ethan Page to challenge Kenny Omega in a battle of Canadians' best. So all ego Ethan Page from Hamilton going one-on-one with Winnipeg's own Kenny Omega. This one, it was a really good matchup overall, in my opinion. Page came in with a banged up arm and banged up ribs following being put through the table during the contract signing on Ring of Honor television. They shake hands to start. Omega hitting a running shoulder block, only to have Page get back up, and he starts hitting right hands in the corner. Omega knocks him to the floor, but the dive takes way too long, allowing Page to come in for a sick looking springboard cutter. We get the Qatari Crusher by Omega to give him a 2 on Page back inside the ring. He's fine enough for a suplex over the top rope, only to the floor. A nasty crash with both guys landing on the ramp very, very hard. We come back to Omega hitting a power bomb into a big V trigger for a 2 count. We then get Page fighting back. He managed to hit the Iconoclasm into a DDT for a 2 count. Both men are do the double down. They need some help. They need some rest. We get Omega can't quite finish the you can't escape, but he can hit a pair of snapdragon suplexes, which look really good. They head up to the top rope where Page hits a crazy looking moonsault power slam for a 2 count. As things slow down, the One Wing Angel is broken up. We get a pair of roll-ups for a 2 count as they're reversing. We then get some V triggers by Kenny Omega, followed by the One Ring Angel to pick up the victory. 12 minutes, 38 seconds. A great match between these two guys. They had some really good chemistry with one another, and I like the fact that Omega beating Page doesn't take too much away from what Page is going to do against Tony Nese at Final Battle, and it actually plays into the build of that matchup due to All Ego Ethan Page coming into a really probably an even bigger match than Final Battle, injured because of Tony Nese. After the matchup, Kenny Omega and Ethan Page showing some respect to one another before Kenny Omega heads up the ramp, only to be blasted by one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions, Big Bill. As Big Bill poses, All Ego Ethan Page comes up the ramp to chase him off and save Omega. Some good stuff. I'm not too sold on the Golden Jets versus Starks and Bill as the build has been going on, because the build has kind of been non-existent. I mean, this attack is a step in the right direction, but it's kind of been non-existent because they injured Jericho after Full Gear. Omega's been off of television since Full Gear, and this is his first appearance. I'm glad they are restarting things between those guys, but pick this shit up at this point. That's where I'm at. CJ Perry is in the bag to talk about Andrade El Idolo's big main event matchup against Bryan Danielson when in comes our husband, Miro. Miro comes in to ask Perry when was the last time she said so many great things about him after she said that Andrade is so great and powerful. He says that he is the breadwinner and she is supposed to stay at home. When his father caught the fish, his mother cleaned them. He was like, when I hunt, you clean. Once the tournament is over, he says El Idolo is done. So Miro is now full on heel and rather misogynistic. This was not good. This got a lot of heat on social media. One of our good friends of the channel here, Maggie, says that she has dealt with this a lot with Bulgarian men in the past, and this is a real thing. So, and none of this Miro and CJ Perry stuff is lighting the world on fire. So this seems like a step in the wrong direction, when it seemed that a lot of the AEW storylines were just getting away from stuff that offended people in too much ways or rub people the wrong way, and now we have this. Rather unfortunate. I know Miro was a lot more entertaining when he denounced his wife and was just not dealing with her at all and was focused on destroying the rest of the roster. Could get back to that. Just a suggestion. Next we have Commander and Penta El Zero Miro, as I call him here. The Lucha Cousins going up against Montreal's own Daddy Magic Matt Menard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker. This one, the fans are going nuts for Menard and Parker, the hometown boys, getting big chants and big love. We get Daddy Magic chants as he waits for Penta to take off his glove and do the Cero Metal. Penta takes him into the corner, but Parker comes in. They kick at Commander. They're looking good, working the double team. They work over Commander for a little bit before he's able to tag in Penta. Penta runs wild, hitting some big move. We get an assisted code breaker on Commander by 2.0 for a 2 count late in this matchup. However, they're able to take control, taking out Daddy Magic, and then hitting a Fear Factor. Commander hitting a shooting star spike into the Fear Factor by Penta to pick up the victory. Great variation of the double foot stomp Fear Factor finisher by the Lucha Bros, Lucha Cousins, with the shooting star spike Fear Factor combination. Good work here by all the competitors involved. Love Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange getting that opportunity and getting that love from the Montreal crowd. They definitely deserve it. They've worked really hard, and they've been a very contributing, entertaining factor of AEW television since signing with the company almost 2 years ago. Next, we have the American Dragon, Bryan. Well, first, we had a video package hyping up Keith Lee versus Shane Taylor at Final Battle next week, talking about their history with one another and what they plan to do to each other in that matchup in Texas. We get a rundown of the various matchups as well as a video of the upcoming AEW Continental Classic matches for next week on Dynamite. Winter is coming. And then we get Bryan Danielson versus Andrade El Idolo in the Blue League of the AEW Continental Classic. Two physical competitors going at it in this one, and this did not disappoint at all. Both guys showing respect to one another. They shake hands to start. We get more of a filling out process with both guys working each other over. We get a forearm early by Andrade El Idolo around the eye in a nice touch. Commentary notes and points that out. Danielson, though, he fights back with some hard kicks on the outside. Back inside, we get a few Dragon Screw labrits that take Danielson down, but he sends Andrade to the floor as we head to break. Back from break with Andrade hammering away at the eye and getting backdropped after the big forearm to the eye. We get Andrade right back in with a figure four. That's broken up, so Andrade puts Danielson, who is now bleeding from the eye after another stiff shot with an elbow to the eye that splits him open, and the blood is just visible. It looks nasty. It's swelling up at the same time. They're up on the top for a superplex, but Danielson is able to cut him off with some headbutts. But man, headbutts with the broken orbital bone. What are we doing with your history of concussions? Come on, Jesus Christ. Danielson comes back. He hits a big missile drop kick off the top rope to gain the advantage. We get yes kicks that rock Andrade. He tries to go for the label lock, but that's broken up. Danielson blocks a figure four attempt, and he knocks Andrade down again for a needed breather for both men. They start slugging it out in a strike exchange until Andrade gets him into an inverted gory stretch, drives Danielson into the corner. Danielson crotches him on top rope and grabs grabs him for a belly-to-back suplex. Very well done. Vintage Bryan, as they would say. The LaBelle lock on Andrade, it sends them to the ropes. When back on their feet, we get the spinning back elbow by Andrade after a little bit of a stumble. They slug it out for another couple of minutes as we get the 3-minute call. Andrade knocks Bryan to the floor. He comes back, he knocks him into the corner. Bryan comes back. He tries for the running knee, but Andrade is able to reverse out of that. We get knees to the back of the head in the corner by Andrade. He follows up with the hammerlock DDT to pick up the victory. 18 minutes, 23 seconds. The top longest match in the AEW Continental Classic so far, and this was phenomenal. This was a absolutely brilliant matchup between two top-notch professional wrestling, giving us a amazing, captivating story of Bryan's eye injury being the focus to everything, tying the narrative thread through and really showing why Bryan Danielson wanted to work a tournament like this and why he's been one of the MVPs of the tournament so far. These two guys just beat the absolute ever-loving fire out of one another. Kicks, hard-looking strikes, big elbows, the story with the eye and the blood and the sight of Bryan, but him still persevering and fighting from underneath until Andrade just had to totally put him away and destroy him to finally get the win as Andrade picks up 3 more points in the Continental Classic. This is Bryan's first loss of the tournament. Only 2 matches remaining for Bryan. 3 more matches remaining for Andrade as he improves to 2-0. He tries to check on Bryan after the matchup, but then the Blackpool Combat Club comes out. Claudio Castagnoli pushes Andrade out the way, and they get into a little bit of a shoving matchup, previewing that upcoming Blue League matchup as Andrade goes to the outside and points to the Triple Crown Championship. Another great episode focused on the Continental Classic. Collision Continental Classic episodes are 3 for 3 so far, in my opinion. You had the first week with the Brody King, Eddie Kingston matchup, which was the best match of the tournament for week 1. Last week, you had the Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson main event, which was the best match of the tournament overall so far. And then this week, you got Andrade El Idolo and Bryan Danielson having an even better match than they did the week prior. They did last month for AEW than they did a couple of years ago for WWE. This was just a captivating story that delivered such a phenomenal matchup. If you're looking for my star ratings, I don't usually do this for Collision, but I did it last week. I gave Kingston and Bryan Danielson 4 3/4 stars last week. I gave this match 4.5 stars. A fantastic match, and probably Andrade's best singles match since coming to All Elite Wrestling. Bryan Danielson is 3 for 3 because he also had a terrific matchup with Daniel Garcia that told a very compelling story as well, if you didn't watch AEW Rampage last Friday. But that is all for this episode of AEW Collision. That is my thoughts. That is not everybody's thoughts. So let me know in the comments down below what you thought about the show. As far as our usual way we end things, this show is getting a big thumbs up from me. Out of 10, what did I give the show? I gave it 8.5 this week. MVP for the show, I gotta give it to the 2 winners in the Continental Classic tournament. Eddie Kingston once again beating Claudio Castagnoli, back-to-back victories over Claudio for the first time in his career and picking up his first win in the Continental Classic in an absolute banger of an opener. And then I also got to give it to Andrade El Idolo. Andrade El Idolo picking up the biggest win in his AEW career, arguably the biggest win of his career, right up there with his wins over Rey Mysterio in WWE. Andrade has been awesome since returning from injury earlier this year for Collision. He has really been one of the Collision MVPs, right up there with anyone else you want to name. Andrade has delivered great matches. He's delivered some really good character work. The partnership with CJ Perry, although their charisma does not jump off the page, their chemistry does not jump off the page at all. we are seeing a story with CJ Perry's influence and how Andrade has been on a winning streak since partnering up with her. That's one of the stories over here on the Collision side of the Blue League. You got Bryan and its eye injury, which is so great. You got Eddie Kingston and his underdog story coming back from the first two losses. Claudio Castagnoli now wants to get revenge against Andrade in the Blue League. You got his matchup with Bryan. That should probably be the capper for Blue League action in 2 weeks' time. So much great stuff going on in the Continental Classic. This has been the best thing to happen to AEW television in such a long time. Probably the best thing that's happened to AEW television since the BCC and Elite feud or the early first few months of Adam Cole and MJF. This is like, or what Christian is doing. Like, this is some of the best television AEW has produced all year long. But I've talked enough. I've talked for about 25 minutes about AEW Collision with you. Now the conversation goes to the comment section. Let me know what you thought about this week's Collision. Let me know what you think has been the best match of the AEW Continental Classic so far. Let me know in the comments down below. Remember to drop the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And if you don't,
I'm serious. I'm not going to sit back and take this fucking shit.
you heard Tony. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. This has been Collision Discourse number 17 for the December 9th, 2023 edition of AEW Collision. I am signing off until next time.